excited to announce that under the new Ferguson administration, for the first time in state history, the Seattle Mariners and Seattle Seahawks won their divisions in the same year. That can't be a coincidence. And we know that our work in professional sports is not done until we bring the Seattle Supersonics back home. Now, great teams in sports and in politics are built on foundations of strong leadership. The first time I ever set foot in the governor's office was after I was elected Attorney General, and Governor Gregoire invited me to visit for a conversation. As the only other Washingtonian to serve as both Attorney General and Governor, she has been a mentor to me for a long time. Governor Gregoire, as you know, is with us today. Please join me one more time in welcoming her. Last year, I attended the inauguration for the president at Heritage University in Tonbridge, where we had the pleasure of listening to the Wapato High School choir. You can see why I was inspired to ask them to perform today. Let's thank them one more time, and Director Karen Nix for their beautiful video. Especially recognizing the many people behind the scenes, the workers who make all of our work possible. Please thank her for her service. And you heard from our poet laureate. I went to the University of Washington. It was a long time ago when I went there. And there was a group of college buddies who remained quite close. One of those college buddies was our poet laureate. So I'm not sure if my college friends are more surprised that Derek Sheffield became poet laureate or that I became governor. But it's a happy coincidence that we both have those positions at exactly the same time. Please give a round of applause for Derek Sheffield. And just to be clear, Derek was nominated for this position after a lengthy process before I became governor. Also here today, of course, is my wife, Colleen. Colleen comes from a family of hard workers. Her father, who died far too young, was a bricklayer and a leader in his union. As high school students, Colleen and her sister worked at a metals plant where their dad was employed. Colleen did a variety of jobs there, including learning how to use a jackhammer. Colleen was the first member of men to graduate from college and earned her master's degree at the UW. Like many Washingtonians, she's a working mom who does a great job juggling multiple obligations. She's very passionate about her international education work with students in our state's outstanding community college system. And as you might imagine, my election as governor brings with it some rather significant changes for Colleen and our family. But Colleen handles those changes and guides our children with grace. Please join me in welcoming the First Lady of Washington State, Colleen Ferguson. Speaking of twins, Jack and Katie are happy to play hooky from school today, and they will be heading off to college this fall. Katie will pursue her education in the Midwest, where she'll be playing collegiate fast pitch softball. And using my prod as governor and proud softball dad, I note for the historical record that 2 days ago, Katie pitched her team to victory and went 2 for 3 to the plate. Jack is still deciding where he's going to college, but he already has exciting options, and I know he'll choose that fits his talents and his interests. Jack has, ever since he was a young boy, always had a deep interest in history. And as he worked the past few months on his many, many college Sometimes good history, sometimes challenging history. It seems to me that history works in different ways, and historic events for a state come in two forms: historical events that happen to us and the history that we create. Last month, history came to us in the form of historic flooding that caused tremendous damage and hardship to thousands of Washingtonians. After devastating flooding in 2007, then Governor Chris Gregoire said, quote, "I'm reminded time and time again of the tremendous heart and spirit of Washingtonians. That heart and spirit, I've seen it firsthand. I saw it in Sumas, Concord, and many other towns where I had the privilege of meeting with Washingtonians and hearing their stories. I visited the bar and grill in Hamilton and had a conversation with the owner, Teresa, as she showed me around. The damage was devastating. Yet, Teresa remained optimistic, and she's determined to keep going after she strips the building down to the studs and rebuilds. I told Teresa that after she reopens, I'll stop by for a visit and a beverage or two. I hope you'll join me. I'll send you all an invitation so we can celebrate with Teresa and so many Washingtonians have overcome." I also met mayors and council members in these towns, like Saccoma's Mayor Henry Slater, who demonstrated true leadership even as they faced personal hardships from the flooding. And there are many images that left us all shaking our heads at the power of nature. One of the most jarring was certainly the video of an entire home literally being swept away by the Nooksack River. That home belonged to Mike Kasich and Sarah Hansen and symbolized the scope and devastation of this disaster. Mike said, "That place was our life savings. That place was everything." Mike and Sarah have a long road ahead of them, but they are deeply appreciative of the many Washingtonians they don't even know who reached out and offered to help. Mike and Sarah are here today, representing many Washingtonians who lost so much. Please join me in showing our support for them during this difficult period. Many Washingtonians have been multiple life-threatening situations. In the dark of night, at a home suddenly filling with water, or in a car trapped by freezing, fast-moving rivers. First responders, including our National Guard, risked their lives to help fellow Washingtonians. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers worked closely with our National Guard and others to protect our levees and the communities around them. The historic floods also dealt a devastating blow to our infrastructure. But our Washington State Department transportation crews answered the call. From Yakima to Enumclaw, state employees and our partners worked under challenging conditions and cleared 97 roads in just 4 weeks. One of those roads is Highway 2, a critical artery that connects our state. Thanks to the crew's labor 24 hours a day, Highway 2 is now open with no lane restrictions and just one detour. Joining us today are Transportation Secretary Julie Meredith, WashDOT Maintenance Superintendent Joe Munoz, Major Nathan Fry and Sergeant Mike Berg of the National Guard, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Seattle District Commander Colonel Catherine Sanborn, and Saccoma's Mayor Henry Slater. Please thank them and all of our state workers for their service during this very challenging time. Government gets its share of criticism, but it's only fair to stop and notice when government delivers, especially under the most challenging and stressful circumstances. will recognize that when history paid us an unexpected visit in December of 2025, the people and the state stepped up and faced the challenge head on. It's that heart and spirit of our people that allows me to report today that the state of our state remains strong. We have the 9th largest economy in the nation. We have a AAA launch rate. We dominate the space industry manufacturing. Washington is building the world's first commercial fusion power plant in Land County. The University of Washington, Fred Hutch, and the Allen Institute are part of a globally recognized ecosystem working on next-generation drug discovery and treatments. Several of you joined me for the launch of the Cascadia Sustainable Aviation Accelerator in Snohomish County last week. An opportunity for our state to once again set an example and set the pace for clean energy investment. We had the largest increase in the country in requests to form new businesses. Washington's business applications grew 16.2%, while nationwide applications dropped by nearly 5%. And guess what? People continue to move to Washington State. According to U-Haul rankings that just came out, Washington ranks 6th in the country for gaining one-way movers. In other words, our state continues to grow. And soon the world will be coming here for the biggest sporting event of all, the FIFA World Cup. These are just a few of the reasons why the state of our state is strong. But I am clear-eyed about the areas where we must do better. And my first proposed budget is laser focused on those improvements. To keep our growth going, let's get back to basics. Invest in our infrastructure, make our tax system more fair, and continue our progress on addressing the housing crisis. In the next 2 months, let's create history to make the state of our state even stronger. Our transportation infrastructure is in dire need of investment. You know it, I know it, and trust me on this, the people of our state know it as well. We have 80 bridges in poor condition, which means, and I quote, advanced deficiencies such as section loss, deterioration, or seriously affected structural components. That's why I propose historic investments to take care of our bridges, more than $1 billion without raising taxes. Our infrastructure balance includes roads as well. We rank first in the country for potholes, and that's not the kind of first we want. This matters to Washingtonians. The average cost for pothole-related repairs on a car is $400. My budget invests $164 million to pave hundreds of miles this summer. Over 10 years, I propose investing $756 million more to pave even more. And again, it does not raise taxes. These critical investments are good for jobs, good for our economy, and will keep Washington moving. In short, my proposal constitutes a large investment in maintenance and preservation in over 2 decades. Let's make that history together. And there's one more piece of our core transportation infrastructure that needs investment: our iconic ferries. Thanks to the leadership of Steve May, we returned to full domestic service for the first time since 2019. We went from 600 cancellations in the summer of 2024 to just 191 last summer. But Steve and I keep emphasizing that this significant progress is fragile because of the aging fleet. We have 11 vessels over 40 years old, including one that's 67. And yes, that ferry is even older than me. Just last week, we had 3 ferries go out of service unexpected. And you know what that means. Reduced ferry schedules and hardships for Washingtonians who depend on that service. That's why I'm proposing an additional $1 billion to build 3 more ferries and continue our work to replace an aging fleet. Another challenge we face is the housing crisis. We did, you did, wonderful work on this issue last session. Let's build on that momentum, literally. My proposed budget, here's that word again, makes a historic investment, $244 million, the largest ever supplemental budget investment in housing. With those dollars, we will build and protect thousands of affordable housing units, make it easier for first-time home buyers to enter the market, and accelerate the process of build housing. We must continue to be bold and make historic investments in housing, both in policy and in dollars. So I'm confident we are well positioned to address the internal challenges and meet the moment with unity and clarity. But we cannot ignore the external challenges that create division and cost to our state, our families, and our communities. We need to be direct about what is happening in our country and our state with ICE. It's horrific, it's unjust, and it needs to stop now. As an American, I never thought I would see federal agents in mass jumping out of unmarked cars and grabbing people off our streets. This conduct will undoubtedly be remembered as a shameful period in our nation's history. Senator Valdez has a bill that prohibits law enforcement from wearing masks and requires identifying information to be clearly displayed on their uniform. Let's get that legislation to my desk immediately so I can sign that into law. Speaking of challenges with federal government, the Centers for Disease Control has seen an exodus of scientific experts and alarming shifts in policy that place Washingtonians' health at risk. I immediately took action and teamed up with other governors to form the West Coast Health Alliance. The alliance ensures that Washingtonians will continue to receive responsible recommendations from health experts who rely on, you guessed it, science. But we are not stopping there. I'm proud to partner with Insurance Commissioner Brewer and a bipartisan group of legislators, Senator Cleveland, Representative Grosky, and Senator Harris, to shift vaccine recommendations away from science-denying federal entities and place it with our own Washington State Department of Health, which will be guided by, you guessed it again, science. Upside-down tax code does not help. Our system takes too much in taxes from hard-working families and not enough from the wealthy. Washington families whose income is in the bottom 20% pay a whopping 13.8% of their total income in taxes, while those whose income is in the top 1% pay only 4.1% of their income. That's not fair, that's not right, and that's why I'm calling for something truly historic, a millionaire's tax. I want to be clear that when I use the term millionaire, I mean someone who makes more than $1 million in income in a single year. That does not include assets like the value of your home. Less than 1/2 of 1% of Washingtonians will pay it. Now let's talk about what happens to the revenue from this millionaire's tax. Bottom line, we must take a significant percentage of these dollars and put them back in the pockets of Washingtonians.
Let me give you two examples. Some of those gains must be used to expand eligibility for and increase the amount of the Working Families Tax Credit. Under this program, the state sends a check each year to working families. That's a great start, thanks to you. But we can do even better. We must expand this program so that more people are eligible and increase it so Washingtonians get more money back in their pockets. Second, we must also use a significant portion of the revenue to lower taxes on small business owners. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. They create jobs and they build community. I want to let them keep more of their hard-earned money. They should not have to pay a B&O tax until they gross more than $1 million in revenue. For example, if you own a business and you gross $800,000 annually, you have a ton of expenses and currently pay about $4,000 in B&O tax. That small business owner should pay nothing. This approach creates the biggest tax break for small business owners in state history. We should also use the gains from the millionaire's tax to put more money back into K-12 schools and bolster Washington students' access to a world-class education. So let's seize this opportunity, this session, to make our tax system more fair. And speaking of making life more affordable, my budget has specific ideas to help Washingtonians. A one-time $200 household utility bill credit for 125,000 families. $33 million to expand the state home energy assistance program, which provides utility bill assistance to thousands of households. And here's another historic milestone. Thanks to the generosity of the Ballmer Group, the state will receive upwards of $1 billion to invest in free early learning programs that help kids and hardworking families. I'm proud to partner with Senator Claire Wilson and Representative Steve Berquist on a bill that allows us to utilize this incredible gift to open up 10,000 additional spots for our kids. With these actions and others, we can make this short session long on affordability and make real differences for Washingtonians. Now, in my inaugural address last year, I highlighted specific proposals from both Democratic and Republican legislators that I thought should be passed by this body, and we had an excellent success rate. Half of those proposals became law. Those bills improved public safety, ensured farmers received the rebates promised under the Climate Commitment Act, prevented the National Guard and other states from being sent into Washington state without our permission, and helped protect children in crisis. Given that success, let's do it again right now. Senators Nobles and Wagner, Representatives Levitt and Penner, as the son and grandson of veterans, I support your effort to expand eligibility for free early learning programs to military families, and I look forward to working with you on that important issue. Representatives Mangeras and Peterson, thank you for House Bill 2151, which will create more affordable housing by making it easier for pre-made modular housing to meet building standards. I look forward to signing it into law. Senators Mazzal and Lovick, I share your interest in making our roads safer by expanding the definition of reckless driving. Let me know how I can help get that legislation to my desk for signature. Representatives Lowe and Reed are working together to allow the Traffic Safety Commission better access to health and medical information when reviewing fatal crashes. Uncovering the cause of these crashes helps with prevention and provides closure for Washingtonians who lost their loved ones. I look forward to signing that legislation into law as well. And Representatives Dent and Springer I appreciate your bipartisan work on House Bill 2104, which ensures that local fire departments have access to air resources to fight wildland fires. I look forward to working with all of you over the next 60 days on these and other ideas to get good policy to the finish line. Last year, when I was speaking here, I said, our mission must be to speed up government and cut down permit and license processing times. If we are late delivering a permit or a license, that's a hardship for that Washingtonian. So I signed an executive order to improve our response times, and we're getting results. The Department of Health reduced processing time for behavioral health licenses from 4 months to 6 weeks. The Department of Licensing cut the processing time for security guards from 46 days to 30 days. They've also cut the processing time for cosmetologists from 40 days to 30 days, and we're just getting warmed up. My executive order requires agencies that don't meet deadlines to refund the application fee. That's fair, but we have a problem. Some agencies do not have the legal authority to provide those refunds. Thankfully, Representative Richards and Senator Krishnadasan have a bill for that. To put this refund policy into state law, let's make government more responsive to the people by supporting that proposal. One final issue and a friendly challenge to all of you. Washington is one of the most generous states, thanks to your leadership, in helping young people attend college and apprenticeships. Nearly half of Washington households qualify to receive this financial aid, and many are eligible to have full tuition covered at our public universities. But there's a catch. In order to unlock this assistance, that family must complete the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA form, which brings us to the challenge. We rank 47th for families completing the FAFSA. Improving our response rate is something all of us support. I recently signed an executive order establishing the Washington Completes FAFSA campaign. That order establishes an advisory board to guide our efforts in increasing completion rates. Teenagers get their information in ways that adults like us don't always understand. That's why our advisory group includes students to help us reach their peers. Sienna, Gerard, and Colin Bannister are two of those students, and they are here today. Sienna and Colin, please stand and be recognized for your efforts on behalf of many Washingtonians. To my colleagues in the legislature, here's my friendly challenge to you. Join me in this effort. My team will be following up with information about the program and ways you can help. For example, would you consider going to your high schools to promote this wonderful opportunity? Let me know, and I'll try to join you. Positioning Washington for an even greater and stronger future is why we all serve. Serving our constituents and doing this important work. It's why we take our roles seriously, debate and advocate for policies that we believe in. Let's give inspiration to future generations that we took up the challenge and provided a foundation for success. Washingtonians are not mere bystanders to history. We are bold, and with heart and spirit, we forge our destiny and make history. Thank you for joining me in serving the great people of the great state of Washington. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Governor Ferguson. Always an inspiration. Will the committee come forward and escort Governor Ferguson from the House Chambers, Representatives Engel and Paulette, Senators Gaynor and Krishna Dawson.